Honestly, if I had just jumped into this game without seeing renderings, I would have been in complete shock. But at least we had a warning. Hi everyone, I'm Nina Kaskar, or Miss Scarlet in the Study, and I thought today would be a great time to talk about Midnight in Salem. So it has been almost a full month since the release of the much anticipated game, and it's honestly taken me that long to fully process my feelings about it. So for anyone who doesn't know me, I am a massive Nancy Drew fan. I've been playing the game since elementary school. I regularly replay them, and I'm sure like most of you, Nancy has been my role model for most of my life. So today I want to talk kind of how we got to the release, my initial thoughts of the game, and finally my overall view of it now. Her Interactive has gone through a lot in the last 5 years, and I'm honestly very impressed that this game even came out. Midnight in Salem did not come from the same people that brought you the first 32 games, and I knew this going into it. I knew it was going to be different. I knew it was not going to be what I wanted. It wasn't going to give me that nostalgic feel that I was looking for in this game. No matter how it played or what it looked like, it was just going to be different. Regardless of what you thought about the game, if you loved it or you hated it, we got a game. After 4.5 years of waiting, we have something to show for it. We have a game in our hands or on your computer. We got something out of this, something that could have very easily been just thrown in the trash, scrapped. Midnight in Salem exists. I honestly admire the fact that after everything the company went through, we still got something out of it. So I am not totally thrilled with Midnight in Salem, and I will probably never put it in the same category as the first 32 games. But it's a sort of something completely different. This could be a completely new Nancy Drew series. This could be a Nancy Drew 2.0. I'm very excited to see what happens after Midnight in Salem. I think this is going to be the jumping off point for a new series, new generation of Nancy Drew, new generation of Nancy Drew fans, and we have to accept that it's just different. So I had pre-ordered my physical copy of Midnight in Salem, like I have for all the other games, and it came almost a full 2 weeks after the release date. Thankfully, I did purchase a digital copy so that I could play it on release day instead of stalking everyone on Reddit who was posting screenshots and already playing it. So the second I launched the game, I was full of disappointment and heartbreak, and everything was just different. And while I knew this going into it, it didn't soften the blow of just seeing so many changes to something that you really, really love. Even though I was really emotional about it, I went and played through the whole game, and I'm so glad that I did. It's different, but not necessarily bad. One of the main issues I had with Midnight in Salem was the navigation. They took something very easy and effortless and made it really tedious. I always loved walking through a Nancy Drew game and just exploring my environment forward, backward, left, right, and in Midnight in Salem, you are able to look at everything around your screen. So not just everything you're looking at in front of you, but everything up above you and below, and I was just paranoid that I was missing information or clues because I wasn't using all sides of my screen, because it was just getting tedious to look at everything everywhere. And certain clues and puzzles you can only find if you look down or if you look up, and I'm not used to that. And so for the first 30 minutes to an hour of the game, it took some getting used to. While I did get used to it later on in the game, it's definitely not my favorite new feature. I always felt that I saw enough of my environment in the original Nancy Drew games, and that's what I love about most of them, is that they're gorgeous, they're really fun to look at and explore, and I always felt that I had enough of that. And the extra couple inches on the side of my screen are really not that necessary. What's weird is I really like open world games, and I really like point and click games, and the navigation mesh didn't work. It didn't make sense to me why we would need to look all around us when every other point and click game I've ever played is just a straight screen. I did like the fact that you could get a better view of your surroundings if you wanted to, but I didn't like that some puzzles you had to look down or up, or you had to use the feature of looking around. I would have preferred to play the game not even looking around, but have the feature there for people that do like that. I know there are tons of people that probably liked looking at everything and getting the extra like 360 view feel. If I'm playing a point and click, I prefer to just go forward and backward rather than having to look at everything. So I'm glad that the feature's there for those who do like it. I don't like the fact that it was made necessary for certain puzzles. Speaking of looking around your environment though, I actually think this game is quite beautiful. I'm not talking about the characters, we'll get to that in a second, but the backdrop and the places to explore are actually really nice to look at. The buildings and the cemetery were really well designed. I mean, I couldn't navigate through them, but they were pretty nonetheless. I really enjoyed just looking around. And while I may not have used every inch of my viewing space as I should have, I did enjoy looking at certain areas of the game. I think that they nailed the Salem feel, the fall feel, Halloween spookiness. It was great. The characters, on the other hand, okay, we saw this coming. Her interactive release renderings in the weeks leading up to the release of the game, so we all knew this was gonna happen. Honestly, if I had just jumped into this game without seeing renderings, I would have been in complete shock, but at least we had a warning. I think that we complain about the graphics of this game solely because of the characters. They are not fully developed. Something was off about them. I think they wanted to show off how well these characters could move and then took it a step further, because every time you talk to someone, it looks like they desperately need to pee because everyone's doing the potty dance, and poor Joe standing in the cemetery was just giving me heart palpitations. He needed to go find a bathroom and I felt so sorry for him. I also think there were too many characters for this game. They could have taken away maybe one or two and focused on just a handful of them, because I don't think I know any of these characters really well. I didn't get much backstory or insight into their lives or motivations. The beauty with Nancy Drew games is that there are so many characters from different countries and backgrounds, and they all have different stories to tell, and everyone has their favorites and their least favorites, and we can relate to people and we learn about people, and that's always what I liked about characters in these games. I know the Nancy Drew community talks about characters as if they're our friends or our family and we just know them. And the characters in Midnight in Salem, I don't know them. They just started off as complete strangers and ended in complete strangers. I think that's just something that I really missed in this game, was having deep conversation. Yes, there is a lot of conversation in this game. This game is dialogue simulator central, but I didn't get any dialogue that told me anything. It was just words. It didn't mean anything, and I don't feel connected to any of these people or characters or feel for them or anything. Now, I think whether people like this game or not is a little bit dependent on whether they like puzzles or not. I'm a puzzle girl, and I was so disappointed with the lack of puzzles in this game. I am not counting the pancake thing as a puzzle because I think of it more as a mini game, like something you do in White Wolf or Danger by Design. And without that, I think you end up with 3 to 4 puzzles maybe? I finished them fairly quickly and was just left disappointed with the lack of puzzles in this game. The overall story and mystery of this game is fine. It's okay, I can't really complain about it, except that it's just a little too similar to Ghost of Thornton Hall. I also feel like the ghost was not used nearly enough. In the previous spooky Nancy Drew games where you have a ghost, they use that. They use it for scares and story building, and this ghost appeared maybe 2 or 3 times, and I didn't get to learn about them. The real problem with the storytelling in this game is that it's told all through dialogue and not by showing and not by puzzles or clues or anything that makes a mystery. It's all just dialogue, and in all honesty, if this was released as a mini movie, I would have watched it, I would have enjoyed it, I would have thought this was a good Nancy Drew story. But when you put it into a game where I'm sitting for 6 hours just listening to dialogue, it's not interesting, it's not different, it's not fun as a game. So, final thoughts on this game. I am disappointed, but I'm not mad at it. For all of us who were disappointed in this game, at least we got a game. Yes, I do not consider Midnight in Salem as part of the Nancy Drew that I know and love, but it's a good starting point for something completely different. This is the new generation of Nancy Drew. just like the new movie and the new CW show, it's not the Nancy I grew up with, it's not the Nancy I know and love. But heck, the Nancy I grew up with is not the same as the Nancy my mother did or my grandmother did. Nancy is constantly evolving and changing, and I want her to stay a role model for future fans. I really hope that somewhere some kid picked up Midnight in Salem and is discovering Nancy Drew for the first time. I'm excited to see kids pick this up and realize who Nancy Drew is and maybe go back and read the books or play the older games or play whatever comes after Midnight in Salem. I'm very excited for what's coming next. As long as Nancy is still relevant and accessible to people, I am all for it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit subscribe. I put out a new video every week, and you don't want to miss out on all the fun new content coming soon. Let me know what you think about Midnight in Salem in the comments below. I'm ready for some discussion now that I've sorted out my feelings. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, my lovely people, and I will see you next week.
Yeah, you can see a lot of buildings from the square. It's a square.
Wow,
So did you
it's a
see
square.
anyone on the day the
You're a
AW
square.
evidence was stolen
We're
from
all
the judge's
squares.
office?
We're squares.
Because I wasn't here.